Hello, everyone. It's the Interview Queen Alicia Atout, and I'd like to welcome you to NotFest exclusive interview with the Deaf. Welcome to the show. How are y'all doing over there?
Doing pretty good.
Excellent.
There's so much on the horizon when it comes to the band. I feel like the first thing that we have to kick it off with is the fact that this Saturday you were going to rock the stage at Kraken Fest, and they specifically chose 3 Orlando-based acts. So how hyped are you to officially be on the bill?
Yeah, we're pretty stoked, to be honest.
Yeah, very excited, very excited.
When we got the news and we were asked, like, our hearts just exploded, and we said yes immediately.
I feel like something you've been pumping up the most is the fact that you're so excited to share the stage with a lot of these bands. So for you, are you going to kind of be just a little bit geeking out backstage? Because I know even for me, when I'm working beside these other groups I grew up listening to, you can't help but look around and just be in awe of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a merch girl, Kelly, and her all-time favorite band is The Used. So when we got offered the opportunity, the first thing we all said to each other was, we cannot confirm nor deny this until we legitimately get the news that we are playing with The Used, because she's gonna like literally lose her mind. Personally, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus was like my go-to high school band. So just to be able to say that I could share like the stage with a band that I looked up to is gonna be definitely a big moment for me.
That's so exciting. And I mean, something else for sure that you must be pumped about is the fact that this Friday you will drop a new single called Hellbent. And I imagine you're absolutely buzzing. So what kind of runs through your mind leading up to such a big song release?
Ooh.
A lot.
Yeah. I'm spinning right now.
Yeah, I mean, besides the behind the scenes, like, work that we put into it and getting out and trying to get the word out, I mean, it's a lot of elation just to finally get like our little baby out there in the world. We worked so hard on it and in the studio writing it and blah, blah, blah. But to have it actually come out and like for people to enjoy it is like, it's just the best feeling,
I absolutely love when bands compare their tracks to babies, because I also feel like you can love it and put all your work into it. And then once you put it out into the world, everyone kind of decides whether the baby's gorgeous, breathtaking, or like they're not so fond of how it looks. But you shared a clip of this song, like a little teaser. And I feel like even from that teaser, I was able to get a vibe for it. And I just really enjoyed what you put out. So I can't wait to hear the whole thing. And of course, you didn't put on any lyrics, but there were a couple of phrases and captions that you shared that I think might coincide with the song. And I'm just getting a vibe like it's about just living loud, sticking to your guns. So I'd love to know what sparked the idea for the track for all of you.
Well, I know personally for me, and then I think the band can also say this too, it was literally because we did a run in 2021. And of course it was like right past COVID, like after it all happened, we were a little nervous going on, like just hitting the ground again and like literally touring. And we had a show, where were we?
South Carolina.
South Carolina at
Piedmont,
Tribbles. And it was just like a really inconspicuous bar. We didn't think anything of it. We were like, okay, we're gonna totally rock it out. Maybe they're gonna freak out when they see like, a bunch of freaks walk in and play rock music, or maybe they're gonna be into it. And to this date, I can say, at least for myself, that it was one of the most influential like acts that we've done like on the road, and it literally sparked me and Barrett, and then of course the rest of the band, to write Hellbent.
Yeah, literally, like when we got off of that run, I come home, I was at my home studio, and I was just messing around on guitar like I do, like writing riffs, and it just came to me, and I put it together in a couple days, like the music, the shell, the skeleton, and then I brought it to everybody, and it's like, hey, let's do this, and everybody liked it, and like we just, what did we write it in? It was like a couple weeks or something. It was quick.
Awesome.
It was just, we were all feeling the vibe from it, especially after being on the road like that. And it was perfect. So we all came up with our part. I mean, Barrett wrote the skeleton for it, and then we just all added our parts to it, and it all worked out really well. We're really proud of it.
Yeah. It's quite interesting actually, the writing process, because I can say that the song was a little bit different than most. Normally these 4 beautiful gentlemen are the ones that like kind of create the song, and then I just randomly jump in on it and do the lyrics. But we actually me and Barrett got to get real close and like actually talk about the tour and literally get down to like writing it.
Yeah, hashed out the lyrics and everything. Like, and I was like, let's do like remember that time? You remember that night when that happened? Let's put that.
She's like, I don't remember anything.
I don't remember a thing.
No, but it was a really cool process.
How good does it feel when you have that lightning in a bottle, whether it's when you actually take it to the group or you all check things out for the first time and you just realize, holy shit, like we actually have a banger that's about to blossom in front of our very own eyes.
It's great.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Fantastic. And I think writing music, it's kind of like you look for that somebody, it's kind of like you write something and you want to take it to people. It's like, is this good? I think it is, but I'm not sure, you know? So yeah.
That's the funny thing with any music, honestly, like you get so excited, but then you start like second guessing yourself. You're like, wait, is it in my head or is it actually just as good as I thought it was? And Hellbent definitely had that vibe, but then we all just quickly jumped on it.
And you all agreed it's definitely as good as you thought it was.
Yeah.
So I mean, it all worked out.
Oh, yeah.
Something that I dig about your rock and roll in specific is how there really is this kind of sultry, sexy factor to it. And it's cool because it's not just in the vocals, but it's also in the instrumentals behind it all. So where do you feel that gritty side does come from?
I would say like all of our influences thrown together in the
Okay.
Because I think
We all have different influences in the bands. You know, we all like different, like we're completely different from one another. So
yeah,
like,
each member has a different favorite band. You know what I mean? And like,
Oh, wow.
we all like the same styles of music overall, but everybody has like a different favorite band.
Yeah.
And I think that just comes out. I don't know, just throw it together.
I'd love to hear, like, typically something I wouldn't ask is who is your favorite, but knowing that it is so different amongst all of you, I'd love for you to just kind of pinpoint real quick between the five of you, you know, like what is that go-to, the bands that made you fall in love with rock and roll?
so I'll go first. I mean, it's coincidence because it's not Fest, but Slipknot is one of my favorite bands, to be honest.
Hell yeah.
Them and also like God together. They're like the two favorite of mine. Ryan.
To answer your question directly, what made me fall in love with rock and roll probably when I was a kid was my parents used to listen to Huey Lewis and the News all the time.
Oh,
So I
that's
think
awesome.
yeah, that probably made me fall. But my three go-tos right now are Zeppelin, Jane's Addiction, and Avenged Sevenfold. So
Okay. That's a good little melting pot.
yeah.
And as for me, my mom listened to a lot of classic rock. She was into Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath. So all of that has influenced me in my music. But my favorite bands are right now is Tool, which I just saw last week at the Amway Center. It was freaking awesome, great show.
Jealous.
Another great band is Sleep, and of course Black Sabbath.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and then for me, Kiss, definitely number one.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite bands ever. You can't go wrong with them. You just can't.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And then CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. And yeah, Motley Crue, and then honestly, like Blink-182. I just kind of, you know, that was, they actually introduced me. I mean, people are probably gonna hate me for saying it, but they introduced me to punk rock. So, you know, but hey, you know, it's
Yeah.
I left off Mastodon, who I've also seen. So.
For myself, my all-time favorite band, and everyone looks at me crazy when I say it, System of a Down. I am obsessed
Why
with
would they look at you crazy?
because I think people kind of see me and they perceive that like I'm gonna like, you know, Evanescence and Paramore, which I obviously do because I think Amy Lee's a phenomenal vocalist. But System of a Down was kind of like my aha moment as like a little kid hearing someone that sounded so different, and being Albanian myself and him being Armenian, you kind of like click to that like Eastern European culture and vibe and like the things that you go through and wars. So finding System of a Down at like the age of like 8 or 9 and hearing how different his voice was, that's kind of when I fell in love with music. And I wanted to make sure that if I did sing, hopefully I wouldn't sound like anybody. And then obviously Flyleaf, which I actually got to talk to Lacey Sturm once, and she said some really sweet words where she basically just told me, do not do anything unless your heart's 100% in on it, and don't write anything unless you genuinely feel it. So like if they tell you to write a happy song and you're not wanting to write a happy song, keep on writing pissed off songs.
Hell yeah.
And then lastly, Metallica, which was a really big deal when we played Rockville 2021, because to see like the Dev and then like Metallica on like the same flyer in like your
Huge.
hometown was just insane. So
Oh,
Metallica, Flyleaf, System of a Down.
that's amazing. I feel like there was like a very brief crossover there amongst a couple of you. So I guess the last thing I'm curious about is if you could kind of have that one band that the Dev would open for, tour with, co-headline that you would all agree with, who would that one group be?
I'd say Five Finger Death Punch. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
I love the reaction to that. Some people were like, that is not my number one.
No. Well, I mean, it depends on whether or not you're gonna watch the bands for the whole tour or like hang out at merch, and I mean, or you're just there for like the crowd, you know, to get in front of the
Right.
crowd. So
Very true.
some people would just pick the biggest band possible. I don't know, you know, it just depends. But I don't know. I don't honestly think that we could like find one between 5 of us.
I know, yeah.
That's so
Difficult.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can say that the number one band that I think people always want to see us either jump on tour or with would probably be Hailstorm
Yeah.
or Pretty In
Pretty
This Moment.
Reckless, yeah.
In This
Okay.
Moment, we get a lot of.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if we played with In This Moment, I would probably like lose my shit because I really do think she's like so badass. But those are the bands that I've noticed that people will mention if they want to see us tour with someone.
But we would
I
be
mean-
grateful with anybody.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Any
That being
opportunity,
said,
that
right,
being
right,
said,
yeah.
Just throwing that out there, just sprinkling that there, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, I want to say thank you so much to all of you for coming on to the show, for chatting with us here at Knotfest. It's been a pleasure. So thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you.
much for having us.
Of course, everyone watching, this has been The Dev. Definitely be sure to check out their brand new single dropping this Friday called Hellbent. And of course, for more exclusive interviews and features, all you got to do is hit up knotfest.com. Until next time.